So when does sex stop? When does sex stop? Tony, stop us, like, and subscribe. Okay, so let's break it down. So when we think sex stops, we usually think of what? Like, that person's 100 years old, But I know a lot of old people, and actually sex might stop at 100, but it doesn't stop at 80. I'll tell you that right now. It doesn't even stop at 90. I have some friends that are in their 80s and 90s, and they're still chicka-wah-wah. But when does sex stop, though, right? Because I don't think it's a hard stop, no pun intended. I don't think it's, you reach this age and stops. It depends on the person. It depends on one's health. How healthy is somebody? That's really what it comes down to. I mean, if you have ailments and diseases and, the back, the knee, my head, my God, bing, bang, bong. I got a, by the way, lanternflies, you don't even see them anymore, right? What happened to them? So, when you get to that certain age, whatever age that is, though, that's the thing. It's like, when is it that you're too old? And so I think it depends on the person's health and the person's desire, which is kind of tied to health, right? Because your hormones change. I mean, when you're 20, listen, the air, just breathing turns you on. But I mean, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, I think sex also stops when you're in a bad relationship, where you might be somebody who's healthy, but you're in a bad relationship, or maybe you didn't age well, So, there's a lot of different factors as to when does sex stop. But I don't think we all know at 100 it's going to stop, right? If you make it to 100. But I mean, I think you can have sex in your 80s, and so for many people in their 90s, because also modern day medications, better health care that we have today than we had 100 years ago, where people only lived to 40, 100 years ago, you know what I mean? Like, so we're living longer, we're living healthier, generally speaking, better, again, surgical procedures and medications to for men and women. So I think look at senior citizen homes nationwide. STDs are through the roof. Why? Because people are courtesy of that pill. So in a way it's a good thing. I mean, just because you're of a certain age doesn't mean you should crawl under a bed and die, you know what I mean? I think that also I think people are kind of divorcing more now than ever before, so they're kind of getting a second, third, fourth chance, and they're single longer, which means you're going to probably have the opportunity at least to meet people. And also, what is sex, right? I mean, are we talking about coitus, or there's a lot that can be done if you're sexual. It doesn't have to be, well, you didn't do the deed. I mean, I would imagine people in their 80s or 90s, they kind of do their version of, sex when they were in their 20s and 30s. But it's still sex, right? Being sexual. People still have desires, you know what I mean? It's not just, again, once you turn 40, it's over. I mean, I think that we forget people that are 70, 80, 90, they're still human beings. And desires are still there for many. Not all, but the older you are, the less your age group is going to be having sex, right? I mean, you're in your 20s, everyone seems to be doing it. You're in your 90s, maybe it's 5% of people that are doing it that are in their 90s. But it underscores a greater topic, and that is, just because you're of a certain age doesn't mean you don't have desires, doesn't mean you don't have wants, doesn't mean you don't want sex, or you don't want affection. You're still a human being. I think we marginalize and kind of forget the older people out there, and the oldest relative, right? But I mean, like, we see them as, come on, 70, 80, 90, shut up, they're dead, when they're very much alive. They have feelings. So what do you think? Old people, when is it too old? When does sex stop? Tony, stop this. I gotta go, bye.